This boy and girl are going to be well equipped when the time comes to take their places as worthy members of adult society.
Aloha, y'all. This is Daniel Eisenman, the host of the Breaking Normal podcast, where my guests are all invited based on the frequency of synchronicity, all done in person, and all trailblazers in the breaking of all things normal. All right, I'm here with Dan Steele in true Breaking Normal fashion. I literally forgot my shirt, and a few other things probably before I got here, but I'm here. I'm feeling present. I'm feeling excited to be here. I'm on a little break from the podcast. I spent a couple weeks on the big island of Hawaii, and Yovel has connected me to a handful of people for the show, including Josh Shadle, who I think you're going to go see after this.
Yep, yeah.
Okay. And my understanding is that you're a coach at the Easton Gym.
Yeah, black belt. Been training at Easton Training Center in Boulder since 2008. Came up through the ranks, and now I run the advanced no-gi in the Boulder Academy and fill in on the gi side as well. And so that's kind of like the pajamas versus no pajamas.
Oh, okay. Which word means which?
Gi means pajamas.
Yeah.
No gi, obviously.
And then
pajamas.
the other word you said, okay, so you said no gi. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Cause amazingly enough, I have so many friends that are into jiu-jitsu and I'm not, for whatever reason. I'm so inspired by my friends that are, and by athletes that I see on TV, and some that even use some of our products. So, or they're doing like more mixed martial arts, like the UFC stuff. And
yeah, our school definitely has a deep foothold in jiu-jitsu, but we have Muay Thai and kickboxing, and then we're very close to like Altitude Training Center and some of like the MMA guys that train here in Denver. So like Corey Sandhagen, Drew Dauber. We get some of like, because we're at Altitude, we get a lot of athletes that seek out training here.
Okay, this altitude thing.
Yeah.
Let's explain this.
Yeah.
Boulder is a hot spot for athletes.
Absolutely.
And my understanding, some athletes that I know, they even sleep in Ned. So they're sleeping at a higher altitude.
Yeah, about another 1,000 feet.
And then they drop down to here to train as hard as they can.
Yep.
And do you believe in this as an edge? Tell like once again, I might want to share this with my daughter. So I'm going to aim to really get to the basics of some of these, because that's one thing that I feel like there might be a gap in the jiu-jitsu world. When I hear people talk about it, it's like two people that really know a lot about it. And sometimes I'm like, I'm a little lost. Like I don't know some of the inside language. And I think I'm going to play real student here with you.
Yeah. Don't quote me on this. I'm not a doctor, but I think it has to do with like your blood cell count and how much oxygen like your blood's carrying.
Okay.
So when you train at altitude, you have a higher blood count because there's less oxygen up here.
Yeah.
So because of that blood count being so high, you get a lot more oxygen delivered to your muscle groupings. So when you go down to sea level, oxygen is much denser. So you get a faster delivery, a mechanism of delivery. And then again, you have a higher blood count as well. So it's kind of like you're gaming the system when you train up here. You see it in New Mexico as well. A lot of cats train in New Mexico.
And there's the Olympic Training Center in Colorado Springs, correct?
Yeah.
Is that a higher altitude than Boulder?
I think so. I think it's around 1,000 feet higher.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
You see a lot of wrestlers coming out of that.
So you started at Easton in 2008?
2008, right after my dad died.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because you mentioned your dad and said was, and I was about to ask you about that, but then I was like, I'm not trying to get into
No, you're good. We can dive into it
So
all.
it's 2008, your dad?
Yeah, 2008, my dad, he restored cars growing up, and he was on an exploration trip up to Wyoming to go look at a car he was going to buy. And in Boulder, Wyoming, of all places, and if you know Boulder, Wyoming, it's 6 miles long, population 50.
Okay.
Somebody driving head on the other way. A deer ran into traffic. That car swerved, hit my dad's car head on. Everybody gone like in an instant. And actually, like while that happened, I remember specifically, like I was asleep here in Boulder and I had this crazy dream that like a nuclear bomb went off. And I was standing on top of the Flatirons with my mom, my sister, and my stepdad at the time. And then I wake up to a phone call, and it's my stepdad calling me being like, "Where are you? Don't leave." And then he comes home and he drops the news on me. And it was just like, something spiritually had happened while I was sleeping for sure. I'm not one of these people who's like, hippy dippy, but I believe there's weird things that, think life will like kind of lead you to. And I think while I was asleep, that signal was happening like, hey, something catastrophic is happening in your life and you're about to be shook into your core.
So a nuclear bomb went off.
Yep.
And you were standing on the top of the mountain, like from a safe distance.
Just imagine like the classic visualization of the cloud, And I just see that in Boulder, and me and my mom and my stepdad and my sister are just standing on top of the Flatirons in this dream, and we just see it. And then I wake up.
And then you hear the news?
And then I get the phone call.
Man.
Yep.
Wow. How old were you? And is your sister older or younger?
She's younger. She's 3 years younger than me. That like hit me like a bag of bricks. It was probably like a year worth. So he passed away in the early portion of '08, and then I found jiu-jitsu later that year. But like for probably 9-10 months, I was drinking every day, trying to like cope, bury the pain of like losing somebody who's, it's your father. You don't replace that figure in your life when it's sudden like that.
It's so unexpected.
Yep.
Yeah. How old were you when?
19.
19, man.
And then just by luck, I just happened to be drunkenly stumbling out of Best Buy right next to King Soopers on 30th and Arapahoe. And just some blue belt out of the whim was just yelling at me from across the parking lot. Hey, man, you want to come try this? And that was, 17 years ago. And
who was that? That was
this guy Tor. I don't even know his last name, but he's like this tall black dude. Yeah, I think he moved out to California like after we kind of moved from that gym to the gym we're in now. He kind of went to the wayside. But yeah, if it wasn't just for that outreach by this guy,
literally yelled at you across the parking lot.
The path of my life.
So why was he just guided? Do you think he was like guided intuitively by the way you were moving, or
no?
What caused him to scream at you too?
Once you learn about how Easton back in the day used to recruit people, it was like that. It was just like, yo, yell at somebody and see if you can get them to come in and see if this person's got the mental wherewithal to put the robes on and come in here and try to fight a little and see if they've got, the makeup to this is for them or not. And I can tell you a lot of people didn't make it out of that, that first week, right? Because we used to pitch it to them. Hey, come in. We'll give you a free week of training. Let's see if it's for you.
Okay.
And during that week, it was a little old school mentality.
Were you aware of what y'all were even doing in that gym the first day you walked in? Or was this like completely blind?
I had no idea what jiu-jitsu was.
Okay.
Right.
All right. So good.
Yeah.
We can start from the beginner level.
Yep.
Here.
Yeah. 100% was novice. Had no idea what grappling was. I was watching UFC at the time, but you got to remember, like the guys who were really good at that time was like Chuck Liddell was like reigning at the heavyweight division. He had like 6 consecutive knockouts. Don't quote me on that, but he had a bunch of consecutive knockouts. And that's when I started really paying attention. And then like the only grappling I was exposed to was Matt Hughes and like GSP. Those are like the only 2 guys who were like submitting people on the ground.
Okay.
And so I didn't know they were using jiu-jitsu. I just thought like, oh, this guy's just like wrestling this person and just chokes him, And then I stumble into jiu-jitsu and I'm like, whoa, like what is all this? Pajamas, tying people up, choking, feet, arms, elbows, necks. Like you learn to attack it all, man.
So yeah, what is jiu-jitsu?
Jiu-jitsu at its core is purely a submission grappling where you're trying to get your partner to submit either via strangulation or by joint manipulation. So like breaking an arm or
these
breaking
arm
a shoulder,
bars and
wrist locks.
Man, those things look real tough.
Yep. Hip locks, spinal twists.
And so the idea is that right when that happens, because you could break their arm, they tap out.
Yeah, some people don't, but yeah.
Is that when like when you say some people don't, is that like because it's like a serious fight and they're mad at each other, like they're ready to kill each other kind of thing? Or
yeah, like the UFC Fight Pass just had their first BJJ event and a guy on there like outright broke his arm because he was deep in an arm bar trying to fight it, and something about being in that moment and the adrenaline, I can give credit to 2 competitors. Like you're trying to brave it out. Your training tells you push through it. It's only temporary pain. And then his arm literally went 90 degrees the other way. And the entire arena was like,
yeah.
And the dude who did it was like, oh, I'm so sorry, bro. Like,
that's what I'm trying to understand. In that moment, do you think the guy's like conscious? I'm about to break his arm.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes. I've been in a tournament and multiple competitions where, it's either arm, foot, or you're incapacitating somebody. Like last year's American Nationals, I choked somebody out in like the first round.
Pass
out cold.
And for how long did they stay out?
Probably 25 seconds. They're up pretty quick. But then there's the long thought process that goes after you wake up. Like, oh man, I just paid money to come out to Vegas, paid money to compete in this tournament, stay in a hotel, eat, rent a car, lose in 40 seconds, get choked out. And then it happens to everybody though, man. You don't go walking through those doors and win every single match. There's a lot of humble pie that happens.
So now that we're attracting all the most brave people out there, like what about people like someone like my daughter or someone that's like, it seems like there's a great community, or like I want to learn this. Is there a safe way to do this where I'm never going to be in a chance of getting hurt like that in a real fight? And is there benefits of doing it anyways? Like, what do you have to say to those people that are listening? They're like, yeah, I've heard enough about this jiu-jitsu and I am scared because I watch UFC.
Yeah.
Is this something for them?
Yeah. I think there's several layers to what you kind of asked there. Like community, we can unpack a little bit. Like community, how does community in jiu-jitsu like look compared to where it started? Right. How do we take somebody who is not there for the violence of the sport, but there for like self-defense?
Okay.
How do we make sure that their journey is enjoyable?
Yeah, that's a big,
right?
That seems like a big category, I'm imagining.
Yeah, huge.
Okay.
Like honestly, if you want to have a successful gym, you're probably out of 100 students, you're probably going to have 2 to 5 that are in there training because they have bigger goals like getting to the UFC or like being a world champion. But I would say the majority of students are there simply for the journey of the workout, the community, like the camaraderie between like the relationships you build within the community. Like Yovel came in and now, we've been friends for a few years now, and now we're doing podcasts and, helping him grow his business like he would happily help me. Mm-hmm. And that's what like the community feels about. So going back to unpacking that question, like community is like the number one thing that's going to, you walk into a school and within a minute, you're like, this is a gym that is like all about community. Or it's like, this is a gym where it's like 15 really tough dudes coming together and like probably 3 of them leave every night broken and barely able to crawl back in. That's not a gym that's going to foster like young people and like promote the path of like becoming from a young adult to an adult. And like, how does jiu-jitsu help that person? And then the self-defense side. In the 90s, when jiu-jitsu was first brought to America, it was very brutish. It was very, we tested it. Not, I can't say we, but when the Gracies brought it up here, they would dojo storm. They would go to the top karate schools, taekwondo schools, and they would go basically challenge their top instructor. And right in front of all their students, they would beat up this top instructor. And then after beating that instructor up, they would say, any of you want to learn this, you come with us.
Wow.
And so they called that dojo storms back in the day. That you don't see that anymore.
Okay.
Now it's community. Now we have very structured programs. So when we start, everybody comes into fundamentals. There's actually no live rolling in fundamentals. Okay. You're learning like basic self-defense. Like when somebody's throwing a haymaker, how do you step into the inside space and then like get to a clinch?
Okay.
And how do you put them down? And then you do that for a couple weeks. You graduate to the intermediate program. That's where we introduce you to like the real grappling of jiu-jitsu. You start to get some live rounds, 10, 15 minutes in a class. And then you go through that for like 6 months to a year. You get your 4-stripe. Potentially you're in the advanced program before you get your blue belt. Then you're learning how deep the water goes.
Wow. The Gracies. I met Crone.
Oh yeah.
I met him in Mammoth once, and he looked tough. I like to think I have a good discernment on people. And there was this guy that was in this coffee shop. I had no idea who the Gracies even were at this point. And I'm like, I was like with my ex-wife, my daughter's mom is, I think, a better phrase. And I was just like, this guy is so tough. Who is this guy? He's so tough. Look at this guy. And he was just done like running 10 or 15 miles in the mountains.
Yeah,
and
animals. What
is it with the Gracies? What is the story with the Gracies in jiu-jitsu? I mean, you gave a hint there. With
so it was like,
storms.
I don't remember the year, but like a couple Japanese dudes came down to Brazil and they had like this big like fight off. Like, hey, your best grapplers versus our best grapplers.
Okay, wow.
And this guy Kimura went down there and broke one of the Gracie's arms with the classic Kimura arm lock.
Okay.
And then they came back a second time, and the Gracies, from what I recall, like did pretty well. And then one of the dudes stayed down there and like started teaching a little bit.
Okay.
And then they basically took it and expanded it because they were playing, from my understanding, like it was like they took a lot of what judo was, because judo would basically be like throw somebody and then there's some groundwork. Mm-hmm. But if it doesn't get finished immediately, you stand them back up. Mm-hmm. They started playing like, no, let's not end the fight there. Most fights are going to go to the ground. Like, wouldn't it make sense to like see how grappling plays out through the ground? So they went deeper into the waters, and then they really kind of perfected the early stages of it. So when you see them, you have to understand that like their family, their lineage is like tied to this. It's like who they are, like to their core. And so each one of them, they're going to be badass motherfuckers, right? They're going to be some of the toughest dudes you're ever going to meet. These guys have dealt with things in jiu-jitsu that most people have never even experienced in their life, just like in an afternoon. And it's just a typical day in their lives for them.
Wow. And I'm interested. I have so many friends, especially with Easton. I'm interested in it. And when I also thinking of it, someone asked me like, why don't you do jiu-jitsu? And I was like, I don't know. It's like, I feel like it's a shoulder dislocation waiting to happen for me, because I think I'll really like it. And I think, and I've done like a little boxing with my friends, and I've never had more adrenaline in my life probably. And I know a little bit about adrenaline, and I have a loose shoulder that I'm like constantly protecting. But when you talk about the essentials, there's not even any grappling in the beginning. I'm like, it's probably an excuse I'm making. I could probably navigate the waters when I'm getting closer to that stage, and maybe maybe giving me a reason to start like trying to tighten that up again.
And I also think you'd be surprised when you come in, like how much the community cares about you. So if you like, when you get to that training portion, if you ever do walk this path, you get to that training portion, you tell your partner, hey man, like this shoulder, not really loving a lot of what we do. You'd be surprised how many times people would just absolutely like, they'll neglect it even. Okay. They'll be like, you know what? We're not even going to touch that. We have all this other body to do jiu-jitsu with. Why do we have to go to the weak point? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and then you get some psychos who are like, oh, you got a bad shoulder, huh?
Yeah. And that's the part that scares me, because then I might see them look at me and then I might be like, okay, now we compete.
But like our goal as coaches is to like get you to the point where you're competent, where you can keep yourself protected. And the best part about jiu-jitsu is we have either a physical point of submission or a verbal tap, or you touch them and you tap them a couple times and you let them know, hey, you beat me. There's no need to go any further here. And I can't tell you how many times in my early career, like I tapped just out of like claustrophobia, just like being underneath somebody. And I'm not a big guy. I'm a $165, $170. You get somebody 210 on top of you. You start thinking dark things under that.
Yeah, it seems like such a training for life. I mean, we can like just the essentials, because I used to host health retreats for a decade. Yeah. Have you ever heard of Rafe Kelly? Kelly. He does like parkour in the woods. He has a company called Evolve Move Play, and he's definitely he does jiu-jitsu. I think he even competes in a few different fighting things. But when we teamed up with him, we really like we had men grappling and wrestling with women. Yeah, in a very light way, but the profound just training about life and boundaries and physical touch, the benefits of physical touch in a non-sexual way. I mean, it was just like endless. Yeah. Just that part alone.
It really is. It's like when you get two people who are competent in jiu-jitsu, like the ability to just what we call, like, I'm sure you've heard it, flow state, right? You get two athletes in flow state. The jiu-jitsu can just, you don't even have to have a clock on. It'll just go, and there will be no end in sight if you have two athletes who are like competent and like the same skill level. Like it could become a very beautiful thing. It's like you're watching just like two creatures out there, just like being able to kind of counter everything each does to each other. And it's just, I don't know. I love the art that it's become. I feel like when I first got into it, it was like much more brutish. And now it's like this, they call it the gentle art, even though it's like, what's gentle about submitting somebody, right? But when you get really good at it and you see it at the highest level, like there is like a beauty to it, like the movement, the flow, the ability to kind of like take a smaller fighter and have a fighting chance against a bigger fighter. Like it's just this all encompassing, just like awesome, powerful thing that I wish that everybody had in their lives, because I feel like everybody would benefit from it.
Well, I do think it's here in Boulder, I'm a little biased and the people I hang out with, because it seems like a lot of people do this type of stuff. But I think the vast majority of our population might be missing out on this physical touch and the goal of submission type of way. Yeah. Especially when it's done as friends, like done as a team, but still trying to win as an individual. I just think it's so beneficial.
Well, I mean, we could look at like some of like the smartest like Romans who were like solving, or putting us basically our foundation together for like some of our early geometry and things along those lines. Those guys would wrestle for 10 hours a day and then go bang out some math for a few hours, and it's like, you wonder what like 10 hours of wrestling, what kind of flow state that puts your mind into. When they talk about like solving complex problems, they often talk about like getting outside of the mindset that you're in trying to solve the problem and letting like your mind work freely in the background subconsciously, and answers come to you. Something about the ether. You're pulling stuff out of the ether. And I don't know, I think there's something to be said to that. And for me, like I've seen only the benefit just throughout my whole life. Like when I dedicated a bunch of time to jiu-jitsu, I noticed like professionally I was getting better. Like my relationships with my friends were getting better. My relationship with like my spouse, my family, like everything was improving. And that's because like you're in that constant state of chase of like improvement and betterment.
Well, and I imagine it's also so amazing as a dad, like for kids, especially now that my daughter's 8. The There's especially in I imagine the teenage years, especially with phones, and especially with the way our culture is going, there is just infinite distractions of things that are much less connective than being in a community.
Yes.
Such that I'm imagining that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
And do you see that? Is that are y'all?
Yeah.
Now are y'all like recruiting kids professionally rather than yelling at them at the parking lot? Like, what's the success with that? Is there like a issue with parents being scared? What's the feel with that?
I think if you were to talk to anybody about like what's the bloodline of like a good academy, we've talked about community, we've talked about like a safe, structured training environment. I think the number one thing of like a true longevity of a school is having a healthy kids program, right? Something that where you're helping these kids go from like toddlers to like little kids to teens to real teenagers to young adults to adults. And we're seeing we've been running our teen program for probably as long as I've been there. We have some cats that have graduated and gone on and they're like going to college. They're purple, browns, a couple even black belts. I mean, I can't tell you like the polished individuals I see that stick around jiu-jitsu from like childhood to teenage, like where they go collegiately, who they are as adults. It's like I said, I just think it's something everybody should they should try to find a way into a jiu-jitsu gym. I just think we're seeing a couple of our teens right now like come out of our program, and it's just we have new batches every few years, right? Because those teens, they become adults, and then we get new kids fostering. But just this constant turnover that we're seeing, and like I said, I'm always super impressed when I watch these young adults go out into life and then come back. We recently just had a purple belt come back, and this kid Andy. Super smart kid, but when he left, he was a savage. He came back, he's still a savage, and it's just cool to see him. I'm like, Andy, how old are you now? He's like 24, and I'm like, God, I've known this kid since he was like 9.
Wow.
You know.
What about the other end of the spectrum, like elderly? What's the older people in the gym? How old are people doing this at?
I mean, I think it was like 6 months ago. We had like a group of 60-year-olds like start together.
Oh, nice.
You know, like
awesome.
friends like who live close to each other. They all started together. But yeah, the age spectrum is definitely wide. I mean, obviously we live in Boulder. We have the privilege of pulling a lot from the university as far as our student body goes, but we definitely have cats who are 40 plus, 50 plus. I mean, when you look at a lot of like our higher ranking belts, they're on the older side now too. You know, like I'm approaching 40 here in a couple of years, and you know, like all the black belts who were before me, they're all, you know, mid 40s going maybe closer to 50, some of them. And so it's like there's kind of this passing of the baton down, you know, and I'm prepping for the next generation. But yeah, we have a wide range. And you'll see it. You'll see cats who are like, they're too old, they don't move well. And you teach to all the body types. And when you're a teacher in there too, you're like, hey, young people, we do this. Older people, we don't move like that. We do this.
Okay.
Know? So
do you have kids, or what's your
Not
family?
yet.
What's your, you have, are you with a
lady?
Married?
Married.
Okay.
To my like middle school sweetheart.
Oh, nice. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We've been together.
Wait, so does she know your dad then?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. How long have y'all been together then?
So I was crushing on her since middle school. We went to middle school, high school together, and then she went out to college. When she came back from college, she was dating this guy long distance, and then after like a few months of her being back here, they broke up. And so that was like 14 years ago.
Wow.
And so basically like 6 months after that, maybe even less, she was living with my two buddies. And again, with small clique of friends, like we all still hang out from Boulder. And one night we were like all getting ready to go to Pearl, and she's like, I think I'm gonna go with you. I want to get on the rebound. And I was like, yo, before you rebound, like let me take you out. And that was it. I was like, we lived together like 6 months later, and
Wow.
we've been together ever since. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. What's her name?
Rose.
Does she do jiu-jitsu?
No, she just
No.
she knows
Does
when
she
I'm
have like a
practicing it on
passion
her.
like that? There's like something.
She's a music teacher.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
she teaches music and
Where like a
Global Sound Studios.
Oh, okay, that's like a local business. Then?
Yeah, right out in Broomfield, off of 287, and
Okay.
like just off of Main a little bit, 1 block north of Main.
Wow, y'all are a good team. Like, those are two things I'm like interested in. My daughter both pursuing.
Hey man,
Right now
I'll
she's
hook you
pursuing
up.
gymnastics, and now she's getting more interested in swimming out because we live right by the river. And
Yeah.
we're like there almost every day. And now she's actually swimming.
Hell yeah.
Because we just got back from Hawaii. You said you got back from Japan recently.
Yeah, we did Japan in May.
Who is we?
Me and the wife.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So had you been to Japan before?
No.
And then how long did you stay there?
17 days.
And as a little premise, I have a lot more friends that do than even jiu-jitsu, or I have friends that are like crazy travelers.
I'm
kind of
sure.
including myself.
Japan's on the list.
Well, for me, it's on the list, but everyone else that's gone to Japan seems to say it's like the best place they've ever been. Now, can I hear your review? Tell me about your trip to Japan.
Yeah, so I haven't been many places internationally, but Japan was like my first one into Asia, especially like, Southeast Asia. And I can tell you, man, right now, like when I got there, I was floored. Like culturally, like the cleanliness of the city, the respect of people.
Were you in Tokyo? Is that where you went?
That's where we landed.
Okay, cool.
We spent 4 days in Tokyo, Hakone, Osaka, Kyoto, and then went all the way up to Hokkaido.
Okay.
And we Shinkansen everywhere. And then we were just using
what was that word?
The Shinkansen. It's the bullet train.
Okay.
Yeah. It took me a couple weeks.
Impressive? Was that?
Dude, yeah.
Okay.
You see them in the distance and they're like,
wow.
And then you get on one and you're like, is this thing even moving, bro?
Wow.
And then you look out the window and you're like, wow, we are moving.
Okay.
We would decimate a town if that train crashed,
Yeah.
But they've had 0 train crashes on those things. But wow. So yeah, started in Tokyo. We went all over. We kind of did like, they call it like the Tri-City. A lot of tourists do it. They fly into Tokyo, then they go to Kyoto and then Osaka, and then they usually like fly back out of Tokyo.
Okay.
So we kind of did that, and then we added a couple other spots like along that.
Did you pay for those flights within the country?
Train.
Oh, that's right. You said only train.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the longest train ride you took?
7 hours.
Okay, and that was on the bullet train.
Yeah, and that was to go from Osaka back to Tokyo and then all the way north to a northern island, Hokkaido, which is where Sapporo brews their beer.
Oh, yeah. I interviewed Greg Cook. He started at Stone Brewing in San Diego. They had like the Arrogant Bastard Ale.
Okay, yeah.
I interviewed
I
him
know
in
them.
Maui at his place.
Oh, cool.
And he, after that interview, I think he sold his beer Stone to Sapporo
No
for
way.
$70 million, I believe.
Yeah.
So Sapporo is a juggernaut.
Oh, yeah. They're
Yeah.
huge in the lager game.
So what any like crazy highlights?
I mean, man, just like the food. So like a friend of ours, Professor Mark Vetri, he's like a famous chef. He owns like restaurants across the globe. He has a restaurant in Kyoto. He hooked us up. We got to go to Mr. Maurice's Pizza over there. He took care of us. Great wine, great food.
Okay.
I mean, that's really weird to like go to Japan and say like that was one of my highlights, but just like being able to go over there. To add on to that, I ran into Mark at a bathhouse in Kyoto.
Okay.
Unplanned.
Okay. All right. I like this part.
Is this my Mark? Are you naked right now in a Kyoto bathhouse? Is that? And he's like
the standard
Dan?
nakedness.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, like
cool.
full
I've been to
full
different
nude.
types of bathhouses.
Yeah.
So
No, this full nude. Full
Cool.
nude. And when you walk in, it's a lady standing between a curtain, and she navigates the male and the female side. She sees it all. She's just in there seeing it all. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, walk in, I see Mark, and he's like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "Let me know how long you're here for." And I'm like, "Yo, we're here just for tonight and tomorrow night." And he's like, "Oh, let me get you into my restaurant. Take care of you."
Wow.
We go in.
I love that.
Took care of us. I
And
mean,
that's a famous restaurant.
famous. Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
a pizza place.
Yeah. Yep. Mr. Maurice's Pizza.
This is another thing. I think I heard that someone went to Japan and every type of food they tried, like it was the best. Not only
Yes.
Japanese food they had the best Italian food.
Yes.
They had the best American food.
Dude, the ramen.
Oh man,
The ramen was off the chain.
All
Like
right.
I ate ramen every day for lunch. Like my
nice.
wife quit asking by like day 10, like what we were doing for lunch. She just started looking up ramen joints. I'm like, so lots of sushi. But so we were over there visiting my brother-in-law who teaches astrology. Not astrology, astronomy. One with the stars.
Okay, astronomy.
Yeah, astronomy.
Astrology's more.
Astrology's like the
charts,
Sagittarius and all that.
Yeah.
Not that one. He doesn't teach that one. He's got a published paper on gravitational waves emitted from black hole. So he was over in Tokyo doing research, giving lectures. And then when
This is your brother-in-law. You said?
brother-in-law,
Okay,
so
wow.
on my wife's side.
Yeah. Wow.
Him and his wife were over there, and so we went and visited them for a little bit. And then my other sister-in-law came out with us.
Wow.
She spent the first few days there, and then she came back to the States. But yeah, I think just overall for me, like what was the most impressive was like their transit. Like, I don't know if you've been to New York, you've been on the East Coast, you know how the subway system is over there. Like, think of that just on steroids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can get anywhere in Japan with transit. You don't need a car.
Did you see Mount Fuji?
Yeah, you see it in the distance.
Okay. Did you go to any of those hot springs in that area?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
How was that?
Oh, awesome.
That's why I'm interested in that. The hot springs in the mountains.
Yeah, when we went to Hakone, which is like a lake near a bunch of hot springs, it was phenomenal.
Like a cold lake?
Yeah, very cold lake. Yeah.
Did the hot springs have the cold options? when you were there? Like, were any of them next to a cold river?
No,
Okay,
they were all
interesting.
they
All
were just
right.
all hot vents. Yeah,
Maybe a good reason to go in the snow.
yep. Get some of that powder.
Yeah.
If you're into snowboarding.
I am not yet. I'm into surfing. So when I was in Hawaii, I got to surf.
Oh yes.
And I'm a little stoked right now.
Yeah, I got a buddy who lives in Nagano in Japan. He moved there after high school, and he like owns over like 110 rental units now.
Is that a beach town? Or
no, it's a snowboard. It's a ski and
okay,
snowboard
all right,
town.
cool. See, I've never been to Japan.
Yeah. So that's on like the northwestern side of
Okay.
Japan, where it's like all that cold front comes in, and they just get that perfect combo of cold front moisture, and it dumps that powder up there.
Okay.
So,
and that you mentioned that is Jiu-Jitsu like your main? Is that like your main passion, or is there something else that lights you up as much, like snowboarding?
No, it's Jiu-Jitsu.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm pretty big into guns and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, like I got some rifles, got some handguns. Me and my buddies, we train pretty seriously, and
I'm also now we have 3 things I want to learn.
Okay.
Your family seems to be teaching.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'm interested in that.
Yep. Yeah. We've with some of the new regulations, with like some of the new bills that have passed. Me and my couple buddies were thinking about starting like a little company and doing like safety training courses, training people on like very basics on firearm safety, and then getting into the more advanced side of firearms, and tactics and whatnot. We've got a piece of property down in Southern Colorado that we're gonna build a couple open roof structures on, and then drag a couple like $300 scrap cars from a local junkyard out, and use that as like a training ground for people to like get familiar with operating like around urban and through urban environments.
Which part of Southern Colorado?
About 40 minutes east of where Monument is.
Oh, I think
shy of Colorado Springs.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea. If you want to do a little prototype,
Yeah.
Maybe I could get a group together or something.
Yeah, man.
At least I know I'm interested. I'm interested in my daughter seeing it as well. If that's a possibility, but yeah, why is that one of your passions?
I don't know, man. I just like have always had an appreciation for like the military and like just that code of operation. And I feel like when I got my black belt, I was like very proficient at like hand-to-hand combat, so to say. Like I felt like I could take care of anything I needed to like closely. But I started looking at myself as like, if I wanted to like really have an opportunity in like a true, winner take all die right now scenario, like you need to learn how to operate in firearms and be very proficient at it. And so it's not something like I fell into like accidentally. It's just like I feel like the evolution of just like what I wanted out of like all this training I'm putting in.
Okay. I feel that. I feel similarly.
Yeah.
There's something about being a dad as well. All of a sudden, all those
Sense of protection.
topics become much more relevant.
Yeah, they do.
Do you hunt as well by any chance?
Not yet,
Okay.
but I'd like to get into some at least some bolt rifle hunting, bolt action hunting, and maybe even bow hunting. It's a little harder.
Yeah.
Bow hunting, you got to be good at
I've hunted
reading
a couple
trails
times
and,
with dogs. I mean, not dogs. Once with dogs, but guns basically.
Yeah.
The bow hunting seems like that seems like another whole endeavor, like jiu-jitsu or surfing.
Yep.
Like a lot of times when you're talking about jiu-jitsu, I can relate surfing wise. And one thing I think is really cool about it is the adrenaline edge. Like for instance, like I'm surfing, I can paddle out. I feel like a lazy ass. I'm just like, do I even? And all of a sudden a wave comes,
No, you're in
and
it.
I'm like, whoa,
Yep.
I'm survive. I gotta freaking survive and wake
Yes.
up, and then all of a sudden I'm having a blast.
Yep.
And I'm like, that's a huge edge for working out.
Period.
It's like you don't get that edge in the gym.
We talk about like the hardest part is just showing up half the time, right? Like the second you're in motion, the body takes care of the rest. That drug down feeling, like heavy, almost laziness feeling that you get. I feel like that's just like a precondition to working out. It's like you power through that, and all of a sudden, like the endorphins start releasing, the body moving, blood's pumping, the heart's doing what it's supposed to. Like your body's like, oh yeah, this is like what we're made to do.
And I think that edge, maybe, I don't know which one's more profound. Maybe whatever the person's more scared of, like the waves in the ocean, or in a little bit of combat.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that combat changes too. It's like, have you ever done a surfing competition?
No.
You should try one, bro.
I
And
know,
tell me what that adrenaline's
Yeah, so
like,
I can relate. Pickleball is something I pursued.
Okay.
I pursued pickleball.
You done that on a competition?
And then I did too. And very different thing.
Yes.
I mean, I used to play baseball competitively. Like that's when I was the most competitive playing baseball. And I was maybe overly competitive in a way, because sometimes the losses or the mess ups or the errors or the strikeouts, I started to wonder if it was worth the home runs and the nervousness leading up to the games. It really was wearing on me actually when I was like a teenager, especially.
I get that, man.
The pickleball thing though, yeah. So I loved it. I love that. I love that. Now surfing, I don't think I'm good enough to enter a competition. I have more naturally like competitive than something like pickleball. So these kids that grow up in Hawaii and stuff, this is different.
Oh yeah, it's like they walk on water.
Yeah. They're different.
It's like the kids we see coming through jiu-jitsu right now that have been doing it since they were 5, and all of a sudden they're 18. And they're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing because my daughter's getting this little competitive fire in her, and I'm like, because I remember I've walked in there a couple times, and the kids program really intrigued me. So maybe we'll go do a little trial together. I did bring some gifts for you. Are you into the nutrition side of things? That's how I know some UFC fighters that use some of this stuff, and I have some questions for you. Yeah, I'll start with this product right here. These are not full bottles. It's what I've been using, but I wanted to give you a nice little sample. Some elk antler, liver, and heart. Okay. Freeze dried raw. Yeah. Now, do you use antler? Is antler allowed in the UFC, for instance?
I couldn't tell you.
That's where some. So, for instance, we sent it to that gym in Jupiter. We sent a bunch of products. With where Chandler and Mickey Gall and these guys. I know Mickey, yeah. So his sister Jamie was the one that kind of was setting up them trying out the supplements, but they wanted to make it clear that like Mike Chandler didn't use the testicles or the antler. Like they texted me that. Oh shit! And I'm like, okay, why? Because what I know about antler is it might have IGF-1 in it. Okay, but it's not like injecting it. And I've talked to like the CU ski coach about this. And he was like, "Oh, it's legal. It's legal. It's used to be not. It used to be more edgy. I think a supplement company laced their antler with actual pharmaceutical growth hormone at one point, and then that got everything weird. Yeah. But it's a weird product, and I would love for you to try this. Yeah. I don't know if you have any joint pain. I mean, I'm a black belt in jiu-jitsu, bro. Yeah, so start using this. Use this before your next trainings. Like, to take the suggested dose.
My eyes hurt, brother.
And see if that helps. This is our like multivitamin product, bison liver and heart. Sick. And I also think a lot of fighters are into it. I am into this for the fight for my life, like the fight of my life. Like, the fight of every day. I feel like this is very supportive.
And are these you're making?
Yeah. This is my company.
Cool. All in Boulder, or where are you guys at?
I'm based in Boulder, and everything's online basically. So, and then I would love to, if there was, I think I've talked to a few people at Easton about, and some people there use the products. Probably. But I don't know if y'all do supplements at the store or whatever, but however, there's a way to, if you want to try them and see if they're helpful. Do you drink coffee?
No, but my wife does.
Okay, well, she can put that in her coffee. That's that's a patent pending product.
Hell yeah.
We call it femur creamer. It's basically just
light
bone broth.
That's
just 100% grass-fed bison bones. Cool. Slow simmered in spring water, and then we freeze dry it. Okay. And powder it.
Yeah. I'll report back on that one.
And then a tallow.
She's a coffee.
I almost would let Yavel tell you about this, because he might. You
got the Talabomb? The best. Is this just for like sore spots?
No, it's for skin. It's more. Okay. I do have a CBD version. If you ever, I don't really sell that on the website because then I have to change something with our processors. But that's just great for the skin. Any inflammation, in Hawaii, people use it for like any of that they call it hali rot. Here is the best moisturizer for dry skin. Okay. So there's a little Tribe Vitamins package for you. Sweet. Maybe I'll see you in the gym.
Yeah, man.
I am concerned with my shoulder. I'm just concerned. I was like,
I think it's a valid concern. I don't want to dismiss it.
Yeah.
But I think you're feeding the fear.
Yeah. I want to get over it. If I notice myself doing that, I'm like, okay, that means there's an opportunity to transcend here.
Fear leads to the dark side, Dan.
I have faith over fear, baby. Every day, here I am without a shirt. I look up. I'm like, oh yeah, there
looking
it is.
Good though, bro.
What's our time? 38. Cool. Nice. Cool. Do you have any questions for me? And do you have anything you want to make sure I usually keep them between 44 an hour and 11. So I got time, but you have
just
anything?
Keep flowing, man.
Yeah. Anything for me?
Or Hawaii. What were you doing out in Hawaii?
Okay. All right. What was I doing in Hawaii? That's a good question. Yeah. I'm trying to think how I can answer this. Let me take a sip of this before. And she really wants to go somewhere to eat all these fruits that I tell her we're not going to eat here, like mangoes and papaya and dragon fruit. I always tell her, like, we'll go to Hawaii.
Yeah, we'll go to the real place.
Yeah. Or coconuts, something like that. Yeah. So that's for Hawaii.
Yeah.
So she really wanted to go to Hawaii. And this is where the story gets a little trippy because I want to maybe create an affiliate link with this company because I'm just blown away. I have 2 dogs in my house. And have you heard of Trusted House Sitters?
No.
Okay, this cool
company
app
that comes through and watches your dog. Like,
yeah. So imagine me if I was wanting to go to Hawaii for 2 weeks and I had
Yep.
2 pit bulls in my house,
Yep.
and I'm like, well, I have someone to watch them. I could create an account where I'm the host, and there are a whole day there. I don't know how many thousands of people are on this website. Sitters that might do this full time.
Wow.
And a lot of them might want to come live by Boulder, the creek.
Oh, I'm sure.
I just can list it for 2 weeks. And then I'll see all the reviews of all the places they sat before. And then I just pick whoever I want based on the applicants. So what I did when I named Davina wanted to go to Hawaii, I started scouting out houses in Hawaii. You have like this, if you're as a member
you were
of the set. Yeah, I'm the sitter. And as a member, you can favorite like 7 spots. So I'm literally on call for these Hawaii homes. And all of a sudden I see this Hawaii home on like an amazing spot on the Big Island. It's like up the slope of Mauna Kea, the biggest mountain in the world. Yeah, this is an active volcano.
Yeah,
the island has active volcanoes, and one of them is active right now. So, and I've wanted to see lava for probably as long as I've and so I'm like, all right, so I'm watching, applying here and there, and I'm actually applying to some places that might not even work out because I want to be in touch with these people because theirs might have only been like 3 days or it might have been like 3 months. Mm-hmm. But the long end of it, there are amazing homes all over this website in almost every country that are looking for house sitters. This one said, this is family friendly. We have 2 kids that were right around my daughter's age. They showed the house. It was like full of kids stuff. It comes with a car. It comes with a Tesla. Sorry. They were apologizing about their Tesla. And I'm like, because of the whole. And I know a little bit about I've been to Big Island twice before this. I'm in Hawaii, I don't know, 10 to 15 times. And I used to host retreats out there and stay out there. And I'm like, the Big Island with a car, then I could fulfill all of Davina's little desires about fruit and beyond. And then the last second, I talked to the house sitters. I'm like, would it be cool if my brother and his wife and their baby come? And they loved the idea. So they booked the ticket like the day before they flew out. We all flew out there, stayed 2 weeks in this amazing house with an amazing kitchen, watched their cute little puppy that's like my dog, but instead of 70 pounds, like 7 pounds, and 2 kittens. Davina lives with 2 cats sometimes with her mom. So it was like, we had an amazing trip.
I'm gonna have to get this app from you.
Yeah, I want to get that. Hopefully, maybe before I publish it, I'll get the affiliate link. And if I do get the affiliate link, let's call it trustedhousesitters.com/breakingnormal. But maybe I'll do an intro or outro if anything changes with that. Because I'm a big believer. There's a lot of people that like want to team up with the podcast. Like I have tried vitamins, and I am so picky about what I put in my body, especially supplements. That barely any of these products exist anywhere, anything like that. Maybe 3 out of 4 of them don't exist anywhere else out. And most of the companies that are pitching me, I wouldn't use myself, so I'm not going to promote them. But Trusted House Sitters, I don't know how to get in touch with the people that own this company, but I'm like, thank you, God.
So they're in pre-launch phase right now.
No, they're fully loaded.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like where do you want to go? Okay. I've probably looked it up. Do you have any places you're trying to go?
I mean, where is it? Like Thailand's next.
Oh, I haven't looked in Thailand. I've been looking at New Zealand a lot.
Yeah, we want to make it down to Australia, New Zealand for sure. Right now, we're like Thailand, Vietnam, Korea.
And all you gotta do is save those locations. Like I've been looking at Italy.
Yeah,
I've been looking at the Azores or shores. How do you? I don't know how to speak Portuguese.
Sure.
Yeah, South. I've been looking at Portugal, and I'm like, there are a lot. Like it's almost convicting. Like if you think you want to travel, this opportunity will maybe give you the opportunity to see if you really want to.
I want to cut your costs too, right?
I would imagine we got about $10,000+ of free value.
Yeah, see, like staying in a great house, great location in Hawaii, like. You want to go for 2 weeks
with that car and not paying for gas?
A night, no problem, man. Yeah,
it's outrageous.
Yeah, and then the free Tesla on top. You're saving. That's $1,000 while you're there to rent a car for 2 weeks. Like,
so I was very stoked. And what we did, I surfed a lot with my brother.
Nice,
because my brother and I, that's what we used to host retreats for 10 years or 7 years together. And we would surf in between them. We would do these at surf spots. And
is that what the retreats were?
No, that's too hard to. That's like that's kind of like that's why I wonder about jiu-jitsu. You like said the free week. Like everyone thinks they want to surf.
Yeah, until they get in the water.
Like, it is one of the. I think it's one of the toughest things to teach. Because,
I tried. Not for me.
Yeah. I've had a lot of tough friends try. The water is a different thing. It's a different element for people, even people that are amazingly tough on the ground.
I just couldn't balance on the board, man.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's sometimes the animal thing. Like a lot of people are terrified of the.
Oh, I love snorkeling.
Okay,
so I'm not afraid.
Yeah, okay,
you know?
that's good. That's good.
Like I went to Maui a couple of years back and snorkeled and walked up on Turtle Beach and saw 200 turtles crawling out for the sunset to go to sleep. It was like
those turtles,
bro. Hawaii, Maui. Like, there's a reason people go to those places and don't leave, and I get it. When me and my wife were leaving Maui, my wife was crying in the airport, being like, "I don't want to go." And I'm like, "How do you think I feel?" But I got to tough it up right now.
Yeah, I felt the same way.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
When before Davina was born, we were choosing between Maui, Encinitas, and Costa Rica, and we chose Encinitas. I don't know if you've been to North County, San Diego.
Yeah.
That's a cool spot. Maui's. And it's a different thing living out there. It's not. It's something happen. A lot of people, they call it like island fever. There's something that happens to people.
Oh yeah,
that they feel very far away from.
Yes, all the BS of
thing, but it's not that far away. But it's a nonstop 6.5 hour flight. Boom, you're there.
Yeah, they have direct from Denver now.
Yeah,
Southwest,
Denver
man.
to Kona.
Yeah,
that's what I did.
It's awesome. Yeah, we flew Denver to Maui.
Yeah, there you go.
That's great.
All right, so trusted house sitters.
Yeah, man. I'll let you know.
And the same thing if you want people to visit you in Boulder. There are amazing homes in Boulder.
Well, it's like we own our property, and our goal, we live in North Glen. Our goal is to eventually get back up into like Erie, Lafayette, Louisville, Superior.
Okay.
Boulder if I could ever afford it, but
I found a nice little affordable rental.
I mean, we grew up here, so my heart, like I come here every day to teach and to train. It's like every day I drive in and I'm like, fuck, look, that's where I'm supposed to be, man.
It's a little bit like a national park with a cool town right next to it.
It's those mountains, man.
Yeah.
You know, have you ever read the book, The Celestine Prophecy?
Yes.
You know that energy they talk about in that book?
Yes.
Like, I'm telling you, man, like I read it at a very influential time in like my teenage years. And
me too.
I was like falling in love with a girl, and long story short, it didn't work out, obviously. But the idea of like feeling energy from nature was like something that like I learned at that time, and I believe in it. And like every time I drive into Boulder, I feel like an energy recharge. It's weird to say, but if you know it, you know it. If you don't, whatever. You probably lived in Philadelphia your whole life. That's fine.
The Celestine Prophecy. Did you ever listen to the audiobook by any chance?
No,
it's a good audiobook.
Oh, really?
I might re-listen to it. I might listen to it with my daughter, actually.
Right.
That's a good freaking book. Any other big book recommendations?
I mean, I don't know. I've been tearing through the Dunes lately.
Okay.
The movies the remakes that Villanueva did were great. I don't know. I'm more into like the sci-fi things, and then like the only other books I read are like business books. So it's like, the 5 Temptations of a CEO and 5 Temptations of a Teen.
Are you doing a business outside of Easton? Or
I'm a director of operations for an online tech ed company called DevSlopes Web Academy.
Okay.
So we teach people how to code, basically like intro to software engineering.
Oh yeah,
full stack.
I've heard of DevSlopes somehow.
Yeah. Also around Easton.
Okay.
So,
all right, cool.
But we've got a pretty successful company, and I'm over there running the operations for our CEO Nathan Savage, who's another black belt at Easton. And
wow.
Yeah, man. So that's what I do professionally, and then the true passion, like obviously professionally, I've got a big passion for that because it's like we're helping change people's lives. But true passion is definitely like jiu-jitsu and being around that community. I
have a potential show recommendation, movie recommendation. Since we're talking about Hawaii and different animals, have you all heard of Shark Whisperer? Have you seen this?
No.
Have you heard of this girl named Ocean Ramsey? She is.
The name sounds familiar with me.
No, that's Bethany Hamilton, Bethany Hamilton got bit by and I've met Bethany, I think, at the Maui airport or in Kauai or somewhere. But this girl Ocean is going out swimming with tiger sharks on purpose and like taming them. They are. I mean, there's a clip where she's just doing this thing with her hand and like staying so calm, and they just like follow her hand. There's a clip where the tiger shark's like chomping like right next to her hand. She's just like pushing it down, and I'm like, this is on Netflix. I think I saw it on Instagram, and I thought it was some AI crazy BS. And so I'm still just watching. I'm just so blown away because especially she lives on the North Shore of Oahu, I think, and even for the videographer that she's dating, they're both down there.
Yeah, they're exposed,
and they were trying to make an anti-Jaws thing, an anti-Jaws campaign. So now she's out here with great whites, and she's getting so antsy. She started in the cage, and this is how it's shown that she's getting so antsy in the cage. And she's like, "I got this. I'm going to go out there," and then she starts riding on a great white shark's fin. I'm like, I can't believe this is real. So I'd recommend the Shark Whisperer. I would
It's
love
on
to.
Netflix?
I would love to have her on the show.
It's on
if
Netflix?
She comes through Boulder. I don't think she's leaving the ocean. Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Oh my God, I'll have to watch that. But
I'm
I think that's the
blown
definition
away.
of, you know, fuck around, find out.
Well, I think it carries probably over to the fighting world. Like I'm imagining she is somehow holding a posture that an electrical energy in her body.
Could be.
The
Sharks are
the
picking
sharks
up
are
on.
like, okay, she's the apex predator, and she's not causing us any issues. Somehow she's holding this energy, and then when I like watch fights, I'm very into that element.
Oh
the
yeah,
whole
yeah,
thing.
you
I'm
see
like,
it.
how these guys are.
The guy's sweating from his upper lip. You're like, yeah, short that guy.
And then how they can act calm,
Yep.
and then like so. I mean, godly, it's crazy.
It's the truth.
Do you have a pre-fight situation that you get drop into? Are you doing breath work? Are you getting amped? Or
Yeah, I mean, I do some breath work. There's a jiu-jitsu written by oh gosh, it's not Hodger Gracie. One of the Gracies wrote, Hoist Gracie, who's one of the greatest all times. He wrote a book called Breath.
okay,
And
I think
it's,
I've heard of that.
yeah, and it's not just, he talks about like how he mastered his breathing techniques, and then like obviously the journey of him up into in this book, but he talks about like before each one of his fights, he has like this breathing technique he does, and I've started doing something similar, and then working with Josh on, he does a lot of breathing techniques.
Okay, cool.
So kind of like incorporating that. Basically, like we were talking about earlier, training at altitude. As an athlete, you're trying to preload your body with as much oxygen as possible before you go into an adrenaline dumped high output scenario.
Yeah,
And so,
that's what I would think.
so yeah, breath work I think is very important, not just before, but even like immediately after whatever it is you do. Because especially like a jiu-jitsu tournament, it's like you go out, you fight one fight, and then you're resting for like 5 to 12 minutes, and you're in another fight.
Okay. Wow.
So you have 5 to 12 minutes to like
Wow.
really dial in your breath work, you know?
Yeah, I see. I could see that being
yeah.
crucial in that
Yeah.
window.
So it's like when we train for competitions, we run like a 6 to 8 week camp leading up. So it's like we have Masters Worlds at the end of August coming up. So I'm at the beginning of like this training camp right now. So we go in, we train super fucking hard, like minimal rest between rounds. So it's like we do 4.5 minute rounds and then like a 30-second break, and then you're immediately back in with somebody for another 4.5 minutes. So during that 30-second break, I'm working purely just on slowing the breath, as much oxygen in as I can hold, as much oxygen out as I can hold. So trying to hit like that 7 up, 7 down cycle.
Okay.
So yeah, that's I feel like a big part of fighting is you hear it from anybody who's like new into the game. It's like, oh man, like I thought I did this, you know, I thought we trained really hard in training camp, and then went out there and I just everything dumped within 2 minutes, and that's adrenaline, you know.
Yeah,
and you can't simulate it.
Yeah,
You know, it's like being in the water.
that's what I'm saying. You can simulate it in that way.
But
There's a little bit of a carryover. I think there's a lot of good surfers that also do jujitsu,
oh, for sure,
and
are.
vice versa.
For sure are. But I think there's something to be said. Like if you were to talk to the surfers about like when you're out there just doing your own thing, and there's no clock, there's no score, there's no judge.
Yeah,
that's
so
one
different.
thing.
Yes, I agree.
When they're like, you have 90 seconds to put the run of your life in, and there's cameras on you, and the entire world's watching. I guarantee those guys are like, something happened out there. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, when I can just a little, I might be the subtleties I can empathize with are so intense.
Yeah,
it is awe-striking.
It is
to think about what's going on with those individuals.
And I salute those people that just continuously run down that tunnel and go after that competition over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's pretty surreal to think about.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for scratching the surface with me. How do people, if someone wants to reach out to you or like online?
Instagram is usually a great one, and I'm friendly on Facebook too.
Nice.
You know, as long as you're not hitting me with one of those like, I have a job for you, remote job. You know,
I get a lot of those lately. What's going on with those?
I don't know.
Someone gave my phone. I probably gave
my phone number.
Yeah, I think I said it on the podcast.
But let me tell you, I got a lot of job offers out there. So.
Me too. They pay pretty well, apparently.
Apparently. I just got to reply to this text message. So no, yeah, social medias are great.
It's Dan Steele BJJ.
Yeah.
Instagram, is that
what
about Facebook?
IG. Just Daniel B Steele on Facebook.
And let's make sure to include those links then in the show notes.
Yeah.
Yavel, thank you for connecting us.
Yes, sir. Always a pleasure. Let's do podcast.
Yeah, it's a great studio.
It's the best.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see these other pop-ups that he's got coming.
All right, keep breaking normal, y'all, and maybe we'll see you at Easton. Take care.